Oral communication and presentation skills. Session 6. Verbal and visual support in presentation. I hope you are so far enjoying the learning, new way of learning, but an interesting way of learning. We need to adapt. We need to adapt in our life every time, because if we will not be flexible with the new learning methods, then we will not be learning new things very easily. Same goes with the presentations. Like we have these new aids of learning things. In presentations, there are some aids which are there to support us. And the core purpose of these various aids are to support our talk. When we deliver a presentation, when we deliver a talk, ideally, on the presentation slides, we do not convert all of the written material on the slides, because this looks actually absurd. Number one, it becomes difficult for the audience to read all of the material from the slides, because if you will put down all of the written material on the slides, then you will be reading out all from the slides, and the slides are going to become very, very cluttered. And you know that how difficult it would be from the cluttered slides to extract information for the viewers. So you would like to facilitate your viewers. As a presenter, you would like to facilitate your audience. Now, as a presenter, this is our responsibility to ensure that we are not only delivering the presentation, but we are also making sure that whatever the message we are trying to communicate is actually being communicated in its true spirit. To attain this purpose, there are different supporting materials. There are different supporting tools. Like for a warrior who goes to the battlefield, he has got many weapons to fight and pick and choose from. The battlefield warrior would like to pick a weapon through which he can best execute his warfare skill so that he could bring up the best results. Same goes with the presentation warrior. If you are a presentation warrior, then you are going to be very, very confident. You will be very courageous. You will be very bold in presenting your ideas. And you will be very, very open to criticism. This is one of the most important points, being open to criticism. Because when we are giving a talk, then this is a topic with which we are persuaded, with which we are completely having an agreement with the knowledge of it. But it is not necessary that the audience is also as persuaded with the talk or as agreeing with the talk which you are delivering. So as a presenter, this is our responsibility, that we clarify the confusions in our audience's mind, that we present our points in a clear verbal manner, but also we use every technique to support our talk. So like we just discussed, that in the battlefield, a warrior has got many weapons to pick and choose from. Same way, when you are there giving presentations, you have certain materials, certain supporting materials you can aid from. These supporting materials are there to help you out in presenting your ideas more powerfully. An ideal presentation is only going to have bullets written on the slides, not the complete details printed on the slides. A speaker, the orator, the presenter should be confident enough to pick the bullet points and then produce the knowledge from those bullet points and share the knowledge from those bullet points. This way, you will be using those various bullet points only as the stepping stones to move from one point to the other of during the presentation. These are the points through which you are transcending your talk. You're giving a direction to your talk. You're deciding that how exactly your presentation is going to take a flow. So it is very important that you do not put all of your written material on the slides. First of all, to not make it look cluttered. Second of all, to make it look readable. Thirdly, for making it comfortable for the audience to take a look at the slides, because the view will not be bad. Too much of an information on the slides will become very, very difficult for the audience to distinguish between one information and the other, because on the slides there are going to be multiple informations jumbled up, and you as a presenter will be knowing the difference between the jumbled information, but the audience is going to get confused. Therefore, it is important that you only set the bullet points on the slides. So now once you have only the bullet points there on the slides, so now how exactly can you support your talk? Now you have these supporting materials coming into picture. Same is the topic of today's talk, which is verbal and visual support in presentation. You yourself will witness the fact that you can yourself check it out on the YouTube as well. One speaker who is only reading from slides and nothing is sharing or she's sharing from her own. He or she is only looking at the slides and just reading out all the material from the slides. While in the other case, the speaker is only referring to those bullet points and then sharing his own personal wisdom from there onwards. So those bullet points are just there as a direction giver that, okay, now this point, then this point, then this point. Now, what are the verbal visual support? What is the verbal support in a presentation? Verbal support in a presentation, just try and have the answer given by your own mind. What can be the verbal support in a presentation? Suppose you have this presentation slide in front of you and you have 4 bullet points written on the slides. Now, what can be the verbal support? So now there are multiple verbal supports you have. First of all, the first verbal support is the bookish definition which you will be giving regarding that topic, the explanation of the concept of that topic, the academic clarification of that topic. That's the first verbal support. For instance, you are giving a talk on economic turmoil. So, what is economic turmoil? The academic knowledge which you will communicate is your first verbal support, because you do not have all the material printed on the slide regarding the topic economic turmoil. You would rather have a bullet point there on the slide, and now you will produce your own thoughts and you will share your own ideas. Of course, those ideas and thoughts are going to be backed up by the necessary reading which you must have done, and must have you attained the clarity in your mind before you are delivering the talk, so that there is an escape from the embarrassment from not knowing much about the topic when you are delivering the talk. Therefore, the first verbal support which you have is the academic concept which you deliver, which you talk, which you communicate about the bullet which you use on the slide. Like economic turmoil, the second topic can be the easiest topic. If you pick up the easy topic, the easy topic can be the leadership. So when you are using and referring to the word of leadership, then what you will do is that you will give multiple definitions of leadership. You will pick definition from Harvard University. You will pick definition from Forbes magazine. You will pick definition from research journals, and so on and so on and so forth. So the first verbal support you have is the academic communication of knowledge, because this is very important. If you have all the bullets there on the slide, but you have not read about those slides, you have not read about those points, then the audience is going to be smart. They're going to pick maybe from your nervousness, or with the way you are structuring the talk, they will understand that you do not have much clarity regarding the topic. The ultimate situation is going to be that you will be thrown upon questions. You will be criticized on the knowledge. You will be criticized on the topic. For example, you talk about the same economic turmoil. You can face audience who will say that there is no term like economic turmoil there in the market. Or maybe you are discussing about controlling inflation through monetary policy. So there can be audience who is being critical for the sake of being critical, and they're going to tell you that you cannot control inflation through the policies, through the monetary policy. State Bank, which delivers this monetary policy every 1 month, every single month. So the purpose of this monetary policy, one of the core purpose is to control the inflation. So there can be audience there sitting who would criticize the fact that you cannot control inflation with the help of monetary policy. Now, if you do not have this clarity in your mind regarding the monetary policy, then you will obviously not be able to justify the fact that yes, inflation can be controlled through monetary policy. But if you do not have clarity in your mind, then the only result will be an embarrassment, because you will not be able to defend the point. But with clarity in your mind, you will use the second verbal support, which is sharing the logical examples. So the first verbal support was sharing the academic knowledge, philosophical knowledge, dictionary logic, dictionary knowledge, and bookish knowledge. And the second important knowledge which you share is sharing of examples, sharing of verbal examples. So again, if we take this example further and we talk about controlling of inflation through monetary policy. So somebody comes up to you and says that no, we cannot control inflation through monetary policy. So if you do not have much grip on the topic, then you will only be saying, no, 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 I'm a teacher and I'm telling you this and you'll have to accept it. But this is not valid argument. If you are truly a professor, if you're truly a teacher, if you're truly a lecturer, if you're truly a good presenter, if you're truly a knowledge giver, if you're truly a person with sufficient and ample knowledge to talk on the subject, then you will give appropriate examples. You will try to prove that how in the world will monetary policy be able to control the inflation. You will talk about interest rates, that how in the monetary policy these interest rates are increased and decreased. You will give the logical example that how through these interest rate increase and decrease, you control the flow of money in the banking sector. You will share the example that if you have high interest rates, if you have high discount rates, then obviously the interest rate on the saving accounts will be too much, and there resultantly will be a great deal of parking of money into the banking sector. For example, if you are being given a secure interest rate of 14% on an annual basis, and while on the other side there is a risk-based return of 18%, you take an exposure on the risk factors and you make 18% uncertain return, while you're having the secure return of 14% in the banking sector, then obviously there is less spread of 4% only, and you are having 14% ample amount of money being built with savings in the banking sector. So obviously you would like to park your funds in the banking sector, and once banks will have more money in their pockets, when people will have more saving accounts opened, people will have more funds parked in the banking sector to earn interest on it. There will be more term deposit accounts, there will be more saving accounts. Resultantly, banks will have more money inflow from the general public, and now the bank is going to use the same money to lend it out further to make more interest money on it. For example, if bank is taking money from you and giving it back on 14% interest rate, so the bank would also like to lend the same money and would like to make some interest over it. Because now once that money is parked with the banks, so that idle money is going to be of no use. Banks do not have their own money. They do the money management of that customer's money which comes into their pocket. They somehow do the asset liability management, and then they would make money on the money which is parked with them, and that way through lending they will make some interest rates, and once that amount which was lent, which was given as loan, once that amount is returned with higher interest rates, then From the same amount, there's going to be money returned to the people who park their funds with the bank on 14% interest rate. And this way, banks will be making spreads and will be making their own profits and will be making their own income. So the more money parked with the banks, so more money banks will have to lend to general public. So when more money people will have in form of loans available from the banks, then people will demand more in the market. When there's going to be more demand in the market, then there is obviously eventually there is going to be increase in prices. And once there is going to be increase in prices, there is eventually going to be inflation. There's eventually going to be very, very much inflation. So if you want to cut down the inflation and you cut down the interest rates, so once you cut down the interest rate, for instance, and bring it down to 5 or 6%, then you'll see that once banks are only paying 4 to 5% return on annual basis on the savings of accounts, and the general public will notice that from the risk taking pockets, they are making around 18% returns, 20% returns, while parking the funds in the bank, they're only making 4%, 5% return. Then they would not like to rather park their money with the banks. They would rather like to take their exposure into the area of risk to make more profits. Resultantly, people will park this money into stock market, and people will park this money to various other areas of the economy. Will take that money to the various other areas of economy, and there is going to be less money available from the banks in forms of loans available to consumers, and so there is going to be less demand as well, because there is going to be crunch of money with banks, which will result in less demand from the general public in the market. So that way, once there is going to be less demand, so automatically this will curtail the inflation in the market. So this way, once you are clear as a presenter regarding the topic you are giving the talk, you will be able to justify your talk. You will be able to support your talk with the verbal support. You will be able to support your arguments with the verbal support if and only if you have clarity in your mind. You will have verbal support in form of academic concepts communication, and secondly through various examples which you will be sharing with your general audience. First example we have just discussed, which is of inflation, which is of economics, in fact, a technical rather definition. If we come and talk about an easy example, then we can also uh, talk about a simple example and can say that if any student asks you a question from your presentation, or if you are there delivering a presentation, delivering a talk regarding your any product which you are pitching to your customer, then you have these simple bullets there kept on the slides as a guiding point, as a guiding factor for the flow of your presentation, and you will be using simple examples to clarify your points. For example, people say you're giving a talk on leadership, and the people say that, okay, why do we even need leaders? Why cannot we survive without leaders? So then you will give the example that leaders knows the way, goes the way, and shows the way. You will share the example that leader not only is aware about how to solve a problem, he has got courage enough, he is courageous enough, or she is courageous enough to take the initiative and do that task for the very first time, which is never done before. This is only possible when you have a leader inside you. Only then, only and only then, you will be able to give this demonstration of how the problem can be solved. Because if you do not have courage and confidence, then this way you will not be able to communicate and share your ideas. So now if somebody is telling you that why do we need leaders, so when you have clarity in your mind, then you have examples to share. Then you can tell that, see the example of then you will tell to the person who is actually asking the question that why do we need leaders, you will tell them that leaders are required to create harmony among the team members. Leaders are required to solve disputes between team members. Leaders are required to set one direction of the organization. If there are like multiple people in the organization and every other person is trying to move in his or her respective way or respective direction, then there is going to be a clear conflict of ideas. There is not going to be cohesiveness. There's not going to be harmony. There's not going to be um, integration of various thoughts, as all of the different ideas will be rather scattered, and there's not going to be a focused work in one direction. So a leader will assemble all the thoughts, will gather all the points, and if anybody is taking the wrong direction, it is the responsibility of the leader to bring that audience back and bring the focus back to the core purpose of the organization. If your organization is into producing tires, and if somebody starts talking about the interiors of car, and the person gets to talk only about the interiors of car, not knowing much about how the tires can bring improvement in the driving experience, how the tires can bring improvement in the overall drive of the car, how can drive bring the difference in the experience of driving to that driver who will be amused to drive the car. So that knowledge about interior of the car will not be of much use for that company which is into producing tires. So that employee would be rather more useful for that company who is more well versed and who is more interested in the way tire works, various tires, various configuration of tires, how the various type of cuttings between these tires can support the road grip, what are the various versions of tires, how the road grip can be increased, how the racing car tires work, and how the normal car tire works, and this and that, and every knowledge, every supporting knowledge. You would like to have employees on board who have more familiarity, have more understanding with the way the tires work. Therefore, it is very important that we rather should hire resources. Organization should rather hire resources who are focused on the overall vision of the organization. So the first person who is doing this job is the leader of that organization. The leader in that organization has this responsibility to set the vision for that organization. What is that vision? In that vision, the leader will exactly explain what is the core purpose of that organization. And after setting the vision, there's going to be mission statement. In the mission statement, that vision will be further explained, that how that vision is going to be how that vision is going to be achieved. So the difference between vision and mission statement is vision is the ultimate destination where the organization wants to go, and mission statement is that roadmap which we follow, which the organizations follow to reach at that ultimate destination which organization has set for itself. So all this you will only be able to discuss with your audience only and only when you have clarity regarding the topic in your mind, when you have clarity in your mind, not only regarding your top academic clarity in your mind, but also you have ample understanding of the examples, because you will only be able to bring in pertinent examples only if you have clarity regarding the concept of that topic which you are talking about. If there is no clarity of concept, then there is absolutely not going to be the pertinent examples bringing done by you from multiple spheres of life, because there are different type of intellect level of the audience, and you, to make your point clear, will use the appropriate level of example. I mean, with the type of audience you will be dealing with. If you're talking to somebody who is very, very literate and who's actually PhD in economics, then you will be using the example accordingly. Then you will not be using the basic level of examples to that PhD student who is trying to get the concept clarified and who's trying to solve some industry problem, industrial issues of economy. Then the basic example will be of absolutely no use to that person. So it is very important that you bring in the pertinent and the most appropriate example for your audience. Otherwise, that is going to be the waste of effort. Otherwise, the audience is not going to be happy with you. So there's this is very important that you have clarity of concept in your mind and you're using the right verbal support, right examples to clarify your thoughts and clarify your ideas and clarify your points. Only and only then you will be able to convince your audience as a leader, convince your audience as an orator, convince your audience as a direction giver. Only then there is going to be trust developed between yourself and your audience who is there to believe in you. So the next important support which a speaker has, first important support which the speaker has is of verbal sort, that is verbal support, and the second important supporting material which the speaker has is actually through visual aids. Through visual aids, the speaker, the presenter use multiple examples. Like in oratory, you have different examples to give. Likewise, you can also use the visual aids. Through visual aids, you will bring in examples in the forms of diagrams, in the form of graph, in the forms of multiple written graphical presentations through which the audience will understand how exactly you are trying to bring in the rationale in the point you are delivering. So, like we can just here see beneath this point, visual aids, there is a graph printed there. So, this is a visual aid. This is a visual tool, graphical tool being used to explain any certain point. So, verbal support is the verbal examples which you use, while through visual aids, you try to clarify your ideas, you try to clarify your points through the use of multiple examples. Like instead of just explaining how the cars are going to have this distance bridged up through the use of bridges between two distant points. For example, there are two distantly located points, and there are two different roads, and there is a long way to go. And then from the very long side, there is a U-turn which that car takes and then comes back. So now there's a huge difference which that car has to take, has to cover to bring itself to the other side of the road, while the same passage can be only covered through the use of a small bridge from one side of the road to the other side of the road. So this way, this long distance U-turn will not be required to be taken, and there's a small bridge which, if is built there, then there is going to be a huge saving of time, energy, I mean, there's a lot cut down in the pollution, because if the cars are being driven to the longest roadsides to take this long turn from the front to reach on the other side, which is right there, but just because of not having a connecting point between the two roads, there is a long passage taken by the cars, so there's going to be obvious increase in the pollution rate as well. So there is an obvious disturbance in the ozone layer as well. So these are all the factors which are there, which if one problem is not curtailed or one problem is not tackled very properly, then that will give birth, that will give rise. There will be offshoots of multiple connected problems with that single problem which is not addressed, or which is not being properly addressed, or which is being ignored by the academicians or by the economists or whoever so there is to solve that problem. If that single problem is being ignored, then there are multiple connected issues which will bring in a chaos, a complete chaos. So therefore, it is important that you use the right visual aids to gauge the attention of your audience as well. Because these verbal supports are used to not only clarify the conflicting audience, but also to further emphasize on the points you have delivered, points you have discussed. If you have these graphical presentations with you, so you will be more in position to give this talk in more appropriate manner. You, for example, are trying to if communicate for example, the government is trying to communicate the fiscal year's performance, that how exactly the government has been performing all during the year. So instead of just giving this talk orally and just telling that, you see, this is how our uh, financial sector has been performing, this is how our textile sector has been performing, this is how we have been trying to curtail the current account deficits, and were trying to work on macroeconomic indicators. Those were the multiple macroeconomic indicators, corrected. Those were the various microeconomic issues which were addressed and talked about. So when you're talking about economy, you're talking about economic sectors, talking about industrial growth, then you will be having more impact on your audience if you have this comparison with you in front, so that you can easily make a graphical presentation, and through that graphical presentation we will be making a comparison of your performance with last year performance, and last I mean 2 years before, how the economy was performing, and now exactly how the economy is performing. Or if you're trying to give this comparison, that you see how the country where you are located, if the economy is not performing well in this certain period of time, then this is not only you which is who is having this issue, while the rest part of the world, while the other parts of the world, they're also facing the same issue. They're also not in position to show the correct growth rate of economy, and this is economic cycle which is taking place. Because if you in isolation will tell your own problem only, that to see that you have been only bringing this much economic growth for this time period, then if you are telling this in isolation, that then people will easily be able to point fingers at you, that people with not sufficient knowledge will only criticize you, that you have not performed well and the economy went to disaster. But if you will make the comparison of your economic performance with the world's economic performance, you can bring up how the world economies are performing, how the top 10 countries' economy is actually performing, and how exactly there was a massive downturn from the top performing economies in the world. There has been a shift from upward results to the downward results, not only which is you are facing, but the world is also facing through the same time period. Then you have this logical rationale to make your point clear, that it is not you and your performance only which is there being reflected in the economy, while this is economic cycle of the global economy which your country is taking an impact of. So this only you can do if you have this visual aid with you, through which you will be able to give your talk with the help of visual aids. You will be able to not only support your talk through verbal messages, you will be using verbal examples, but when there are these statistical issues, when there are these audit I mean when there are these accounting examples, when there are these numbers which are there, when you can easily when you have to make comparisons of numbers and economic issues, economic problems, economic performance, then the graphical presentation will be more impactful, and this way your message is going to be more of use. So you as a presenter have this duty to make your message more and more powerful. You have got verbal and visual support with you in your presentation. You need to know your weapons. You need to know that what are the various verbal supports with you, and what are the various visual supports with you. So supporting materials with you. Supporting academic material is going to be the knowledge, and the same knowledge can be presented through visual aids. And when that knowledge is actually presented through visual aids, the same knowledge will be more impact will have more impact on the audience's mind. So have more knowledge of all these various tools as a speaker, and be more impressive, and be more impactful on your audience. So with this, we have reached to conclusion of this topic, and we will meet in the next topic.